Hello, everybody. Welcome to Apparel Textile Sourcing Virtual, our first virtual trade show. We're welcoming back Frances Harder again as one of our guest speakers for the seminar series, which we are doing obviously over Zoom. Frances's topic today is going to be titled Checklists for Your Apparel Startup. This is good for anybody who is just starting out in their apparel business, or anybody who's looking to kind of restructure how they're doing things. So Frances, please feel free to take it away, and we will have Q&A at the end. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to type them in and we'll get them answered at the very end.
Thanks so much, Jason. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Frances Harder, and welcome to today's session. My experience in the industry has been multifaceted, been very lucky to have been an educator and also to have been a designer and had my own company, had my name under license in Japan, designed for Priscilla Presley on home shopping, working with the United Nations with women-owned businesses in Peru and alpaca, and Kashmir in Nepal. I'm just about to get going on a new one in Egypt for cotton. So global industry. I'm also working to be teaching online for a Chinese university, Fashion for Profit. So I welcome any questions you have. Even if I can't help you, I'm sure that I can find somebody who can. You'll see at the end, it's a simple email, frances@fashionforprofit. Okay, let's get going. So things you need to be thinking about. So questions to ask yourself. I had a really lovely email this weekend. Somebody sent me a really good idea, a good presentation. I think she should patent it. Usually you can't patent a design, but this way it was utilitarian. It was a useful design, and but she's got no money. So where do you go? So I hope that she can get on this little presentation. And those of you who are just beginning, I would suggest that you start off by asking your questions that you should really fully understand before you get involved in the industry. It's a very complex industry, and there are many moving parts. As we're seeing what's going on now with the industry, stores are closing up. The whole dynamics of the industry is changing. Now we're all online with sourcing, and when you're probably buying your clothing also online. So these are the things, thinking about what's happening and how it's affecting everybody's lives, casual lifestyle, all these things that are really affecting what choices are being made. So there are many questions that you will need to think about. Most of them I actually cover in the book Fashion for Profit. So let's get going with some of the questions. So do you have what it takes to own and manage a small business? Am I a self-starter? Am I good at making decisions? I mean, these things you've got to be motivated, right? Can you make decisions? Sometimes those decisions are quite hard to really come to the final agreement. Will you be hurting anybody with these decisions? Do I have the physical and emotional stamina to run a business? And how do I plan and organize? Are my attributes and drive strong enough to maintain motivation? And how will my business affect my family? So do you already have a business now, or are you already working full time and you want to be able to start a business? Then obviously this will demand a great deal of time. If you have children, then it's also very difficult to sort of plan around your family when trying to build a new business. That might include travel, especially if you're going to trade shows, or you're going to have to visit buying or going to sourcing shows. So how is this going to affect you, your idea for this business? Have you researched the market? Do you develop a new product due to the realization that there is a need for this product? So that's a good start. Have you identified this niche? Spend the time to research the stores and markets you wish to sell. Shop in a variety of locations and compare customer price points and products. Investors will want to see that you have done your homework and that you know and understand your target market. And this really also means with your demographics, because you might be in California, but there again, you want to sell to New York. What will that mean? So selling to a different marketplace with different demographics is something that you really need to investigate. And that's what I always say. It's really important to have a good understanding of your marketplace. And what price bracket will your clothing line fall into? After researching the market, you will have a better comprehension of this question. Start any business requires money. This is something that a lot of people have great ideas, but they don't have the money. Where are you going to go? It costs money to develop the product and it requires money to produce the products. Obviously, product development can be costly. So how much are you going to be allocating to do all those samples? How many samples will you make? You have to say, I would say on the whole, is usually around about $500, depending on the complexity of the design for each sample that's made. So that means making the pattern, obviously buying the fabrics, getting the actual samples made and then approving them. Hopefully you don't have to make them more than 3 times, because if you do, you've got a problem. But realizing that obviously you're going to have to invest in product development. So you may be lucky enough to get a loan from somewhere, but loans are not easy to come by for a new company. However, there is money out there at the moment. And as we've seen with what's happening with this disaster that's hit us all. So you might want to sort of reach out to, say, someone like the SBA, and they've actually been helping me as well. And there are some really good centers, and depending on where you are located, I would strongly recommend anyone starting out a new business, reaching out to SBA to see if they can help you in any way, either recommending loans or where to go to possibly find investors. Now, of course, you can always do GoFundMe. One of the people I know, she had a novel idea for leggings that she was using her own print on, and she got invested $96,000 by going GoFundMe. So there are some great options there available to you. So do not put yourself into too much debt at starting a new venture. Plan to build slowly and with a little borrowed money as possible. And it's actually a good time to do this because you don't want to be selling and you can't sell to the big retailers. So starting off slowly and building your business is a good way to go. So bank account. So new companies, bank accounts, setting up a business account, you'll have to do that. There'll be license requirements. Depending on where you are, obviously you'll have to get your tax ID, thinking of a company name, making sure that that name is not conflicting with anybody else's, because otherwise you'll get a cease and desist. License requirements, depending obviously which city you're in and which state you're in. So for California, there are very strong regulations for apparel businesses. I always surprised when I see Etsy selling a lot, because most of the time Etsy people are sewing from home, and that's against the law to sell product that's been sewn at home. Sounds strange, but the reason was that in the early 90s, they found a group of sewers chained to sewing machines in El Monte. And so they said, okay, we cannot have this for our industry. So it requires you to take a test. If you're California and New York have similar requirements, you take a test. Once you've got that test, now remember, you are classified as the manufacturer if you are giving directions. So if you're working with a contractor, you are telling them the types of fabrics, what kind of manufacturing methods you're going to be using. That means you are the manufacturer. And the contractor who's being contracted by you also needs to get a contracting license. However, the bad news is for a contractor, their license is about $250 a year. For a manufacturer is around $750, and it goes up to $2,500 depending on the size of your company. And so finding going to SBA, and they can often recommend attorneys who can help you as well. Also, they'll also help you with a business plan. And the business plan can be painful, but I recommend starting off with an investment deck. There is an example in my book on how to do that, and it sort of simplifies it. It's a bit like a PowerPoint, and you can answer the questions, put them in there, and it's like the beginning of putting a business plan together. So what kind of an organization are you going to do? Incorporation, partnership, sole proprietor? You'll need to understand this for your tax status. Maybe talking to your own accountant. Will you have a register your fictitious name, your domain name, of course, which is the new name for your company? if other than your own name. So rather than going out and thinking of using your name, usually it's not a good idea unless you're Donna Karen, but there are places where, you know, people have become very successful. Jill Sanders is a good example, who had her name under license and sold it. That meant I think she sold it to Prada, but she could not use her own name again. So thinking of a name, go up and investigate the names. Don't choose some fancy name that nobody can pronounce. Remember that it doesn't need to mean anything. Think of Nike, Forever 21, whatever. It's easy to say. So coming up with a name that's easy rather than coming up with some French name that nobody will be able to pronounce. So have you got a partner? Would a partner make it easier? I've had partners in the past. Sometimes it's not been easy and sometimes it's imploded my own business. So do your research. What is that partner going to bring to the table? I have two partners now and they're both totally different aspects to the business than I am. And we complement one another. So making sure you find a business partner does not necessarily mean success or guarantee success. You require additional marketing skills. Of course, that's something that getting an older person involved like me in social media can be a nightmare. So you need somebody who can help you with that. So startup capital, engaging a partner may be a good decision who can maybe complement the things that you're lacking. The ultimate success of a partnership will be determined by their ability to give technical or financial assistance, as well as personality and character. If you have a partner, do you know him or her well enough to operate a business together? Like any close relationship, working in close proximity can often lead to conflicts between good friends. And sometimes you lose that friendship, and that's not too good. So define the jobs to be done by each partner by making a list of jobs and dividing them up. Having two designers in a business is not going to be a good idea. It's better to choose a partner who has other skills from yours, who can complement your own skills. So should you hire a family member? These are frequently asked questions. Sometimes they can be an asset. Sometimes it can be very invasive for you. I know that I'm married to an engineer, German engineer, so totally different. So he's able to at least assist in many ways that I'm not the expert on, whether it's financial or shipping goods or accounting. His is much more up his street than my street. So carefully consider their loyalty and how this is going to affect your relationships. And are they going to be co-partners with you? Is it possible to keep family and business separate? If you're borrowing money from a family member, make sure is it a loan or is it a gift? Make sure you've got that clearly defined in your agreement with them. And it doesn't have to be painful. You can just have a notarized MOU so that people have an understanding of what this business is about. It is a business. It's not a marriage. Well, marriage is a business too. But you need to sort of fully understand what you're both bringing to the table. And when you're borrowing money, you know, how is it going to be repaid? You can use credit cards, and of course now the credit cards interest rate is very low. So, but there again, piling on your credit, when will you be able to pay it back? When dealing with family members, you are their collateral. They're investing in you as a person and not the product. So how much money do I need to get started? One of the leading causes of business failure is insufficient capital. And this is seen this time again, people with great ideas, and unfortunately they get to the point where they just don't have enough money to go forward. And for the most part, you go to an investor with an idea, they're not usually going to invest in just an idea. They're going to invest in you, and they need to see that you can produce that product. So if you're coming out with a great idea and you happen to be an accountant in the daytime, you know, they want to see that you understand the process of producing that goods, that you've gone through the development stage and you understand the final product, and then you can go out and look for capital and look for investors possibly. If you can begin to produce a small line of no more than, say, 10 items, it may be possible to continue your normal day job and start your new venture on the side. Now, when I say 10 items, you can say, okay, 10 different items. You might have 3 tops and then 4 bottoms and a jacket or something. But that means when you say 10 and you're starting off with a sample size of a 6, then you're going to be grading that and you look at the SKUs. So if you're going up to 12 or 14 in sizes, and then you're going down to a size 0, how many SKUs do you have? So you can think of, you're probably ending up with about 60 SKUs. So you have to really think about this. And then if you're using different colors, you've got more SKUs. So it becomes more complex. So keep it simple. If you do not intend to have a second income, then you must plan on having enough money in the business to cover operation expenses for 1 year or maybe 2. Spending time using a credit card with a low interest rate will enable you to finance some of the startup costs and cover some production costs for your first line. If you do use your credit card, paying it back in a timely manner will be important. If you have bad credit, it's not a good idea to start a business. Nobody will give you credit. And honestly, in this business, the business runs on credit. And you know, you're going to be paying somebody in 30 days, or unless it's a contractor, you have to pay them the day you pick it up. So having an understanding of how this business cash flow works is going to be important to you. So we always say, don't even think of selling to department stores, because they'll charge you back and they'll probably not pay you for 60 days and then you still won't get it. So think again, do your homework, know who you're going to sell to, understand and go out and find the right contractor who understands the product you're going to be need to be made. Do your investigation, make sure that they have good credentials. So what do I have to get a loan? Well, as I say earlier on, if you're a woman in minorities, there are loans available from the SBA and you can apply for those. So thinking about if you are a minority, you can register through the SBA as a minority-owned business, and there are funding available for minorities. So it's a good idea to apply for that. And then you need to think about, how much do I need to borrow? How will I spend that loan? How do you intend to repay the loan? When you apply for a loan, a clear description of your experience, cohesive business plan will also be required. What kind of a profit can I expect in the first 2 years? Consider that for the first 2 years of the business, there can be very little profit. However, after the first couple of seasons, there should be enough money coming in the business to at least cover operation expenses. Cash flow will improve as your business grows with good financial planning. And of course, you need to sort of think about where your sales are coming from and how you're going to grow those sales. What should I know about accounting and bookkeeping? The importance of keeping adequate records cannot be stressed enough, because it's all the ins, when's it coming in and when's it going out. If the money's going out before it's coming in, you're in trouble. Without records, you cannot see well how your business is doing, where it's going. At a minimum, records are needed to substantiate your tax return under federal and state laws, including income tax and social security laws. Your application for credit for vendors or for a loan from a bank. Your claims about the business, should you wish to sell, will also be important. But most importantly, you need to keep records to run your business successfully, to increase your profits and see how that's doing, checking out each of your different items. Some are selling better than others. You'll have leaders and you'll have losers. And those are the things you need to keep a close eye on. Can I operate my business from a home? Yes, in fact, experts estimate that around 20% of new businesses operate out of their own business. But as I said earlier on, that does not mean sewing. With increased use of computer and cyberspace, home-based business owners are able to access all types of information without ever leaving the comfort of their home office. Contract out as much as possible before starting to pay employees. You know, you don't want to take on employees. It's another headache. It's another problem. It's another outgoing expense. So are you going to contract your work out, like I was talking about earlier on, rather than employing your sewers? Contract it out. So, as I said earlier on, manufacturing sewn products from your home for resale purposes is against the law in most states and can have a high penalty for abuse. So, contact your nearest SBA and state and Chamber of Commerce, who can provide pertinent information on how to manage your home-based business. Each city has its own variants. So it's also advisable to call your local city hall for information pertaining to your local area. I found my city hall to be very useful and helped me a lot. So how do I find suppliers? Well, here we are at this virtual trade show. Where do you start? And here they've got classifications online, and really you don't have to fly to Miami. We should have been there this week. You can go online and investigate. You're looking for linen. Who can produce linen? What are their demands for linen? Would they be able to provide swatches, samples? What is their samples? And do you have you already got your, when you get your, so you don't have to pay taxes on everything. So you have your resale license. So you go to the State Board of Equalization to get your resale license, and they'll require that. So do your homework. New companies can be very time consuming for merchandisers. So be careful, make sure you know what you're going to ask for, make sure that you know what you're going to be dealing with and what they're going to give you. It's very important. So it's a great opportunity now for you to go online, research what it is you're looking for. Again, know what you're looking for. Understand textiles. Understand what's the difference between silk and polyester, cotton and wool. Understanding their properties and how it will work best for you. It's been interesting because now we've all got this, we're all wearing masks. So what kind of masks do you wear that really stops the germs coming in and the germs going out? So, you know, they're saying synthetic but synthetic is also hard for breathing. I am making masks from cotton and polyester. I've actually been lining them in silk because I have a lot of silk over, which is a really natural thermal. And you can wash silk as well. So think about all these properties. What is it you're going to ask for? Do your research. So how do I market my product? Marketing is one of the most important operations involved in promoting the finished product. Whether you're selling direct, mail order, on the web, or selling through sales representatives, the objective is the same: reaching as many people as possible and sell at a profit. We'll be going into a profit margin seminar on Thursday at noon. So those of you who don't understand costing, please come back, and I'll be doing make sure you're well rested. It's quite intense. So come back on Thursday and we'll be talking about how to do your costing. Do you plan to eventually sell internationally? And can you define your global market? Very interesting what's going on globally now. And there is a demand for American products. So do your research. The US Trade and Commerce has got a lot of helpful information there if you're looking for that. Developing countries are creating middle-class consumers rapidly. In 11 years, the Pacific Rim will have a larger market than the US. China will be #1 middle-class market by 2022. So think about how can you reach this different market, this different part of the world? Who's going to ship? So thinking about, are you going to start shipping from your own home? There are fulfillment places that can ship your goods. So you can send it to a warehouse, and I think it's like approximately 6% that you would have to add to your cost sheet for them to do the pick and packing of your goods. And they can, obviously they do it very professionally. So what do you need to do now? Create an investment plan and then a business plan. Figure out your money. Get family behind you. Choose a business name. Register your domain name. Incorporate. Figure out legal structure. Apply for an EIN, that's your tax number. Apply for a business license from your city for your business. Set up a website. Register social media profiles. Your checklist. Okay? Start your revenue stream, order business cards, open a business account for your business, Assign a responsible person, responsibilities. I'm sorry, I can't quite see the slide here. Consult with your insurance agency for coverage. Do you need, in case you get sued? Of course you do. Business insurance. Line up your suppliers. File for a trademark. If you're doing any sort of graphics, make sure you can copyright them. If you're doing anything that's not out there, or be careful about choosing prints from other people. Don't claim them to be yours. If they're already copyright, you're going to have a lawsuit against you. So understanding copyright rules is also very important. If you have a specific design yourself, register it. So work your network. Again, very important to have a good network that can help you. Refine your pitch. Understand you're going to be talking to people. Feel confident about what you say. I would say 30-second elevator pitch. Tell me what you're doing. Clear and precise. Know with confidence what it is you're doing. Finding a sales rep, not easy. So are you going to need a sales rep? Are you going to have a sales team in place? Are you going to sell direct, or are you going to have a showroom? Very important that you look into it. So your checklist might be longer than this, but organizing what needs to be done before you launch and what you can take care of down the road makes it easier and to prioritize your tasks. Okay, hope that's helped you. Any of you got questions? So Jason, are they typing them in, or are they asking questions online? I'm not quite sure how this is done.
So we got a couple yeah, sorry, I had to unmute myself. So we got a couple questions. Oh, is my video working? Can you guys hear me okay?
I can see you. Okay. I can hear you, yes.
Okay. So one question we did have was House of Anna Couture and Associates, back to the choosing a name for your business. She was curious if that was a good name.
What was it again? Again, pronounce.
House of Anna Couture and Associates.
Sounds very long. Now think about that label in a garment, right? House of Anna Couture is too long for a label. So I'm not sure about that one. I would definitely cut that down. I think it's too long.
Okay. Thank you, Francis. Do we have any more questions for Francis? It doesn't look like I have any others here. As I stated before in the thread, to receive these slides, we will be making these available on the slide share. So make sure you're signed up for our emails, and you'll make sure to get all that. If anybody wants to take a screenshot right now is a good time to get Francis's information here. Also her website's a wealth of information. All the information you would need about other books and trainings she has is on there. She'll be joining us again later this week, as she said earlier. That's all for today for the ATSV seminars. We'll be back here tomorrow at, let's see, what time are we at? 1 o'clock, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The title is On-Demand Manufacturing and the Fashion Industry Post-COVID-19. So if there are no more questions, we're going to go ahead and get going. Oh, I might have one more here. Hang on. Couple more questions here, Francis.
Okay.
All right, so advice on finding reliable suppliers.
Suppliers of fabrics, trims. I mean, if it depends on where you're located, but if you're in LA, there are some really good resources, of course, because there's a lot of fashion people here, fashion businesses. So sourcing for fabric, then you're at the right spot now, right, Jason? Online for your show. If you're looking for findings, I think you also have findings at your show as well, but it really depends on what you're looking for. These trade shows, as far as fabrics are concerned, as far as sourcing for somebody to make your samples, I just say, please do your homework. Okay. I've seen so many people who have gone with somebody who they thought was going to be able to do all the sampling, and, and it turns out it was a disaster. Get recommendations from people they've worked with, please. I can't stress that enough. There's a lot of people out there who say they can do things, and unfortunately it doesn't go well. So I had one lady come in, she was a banker, and she wanted to do a business line for women, and she spent $50,000 on making all these outfits, these jackets and outfits. She brought them in on a rolling rack, and she was so happy. It was a disaster because, first of all, she didn't really know, things like collars, where you've got a busted collar, it's got to be open. Any of you in the industry who understands how a tailored jacket should look, the collar plus the sleeves didn't have a high enough head on them. She had to remake them. So please check out whoever it is. Make sure that they know what they say they can do for you by checking with other people that they've worked with. So please check any resources.
Yeah, and that's a good point. What Francis mentioned about getting referrals. It's one thing to do research on your own online, which is where a lot of things are going. But contacting one of our sourcing reps, that's what these trade shows are for. It's for you to be able to access people who know the people that you're looking for, whether it's a supplier, whether it's for education, or it's somebody to do logistics for you. So. On our website, if you go on to appareltextilesourcing.com, there's a chat feature. It's a very quick way to get some quick tips and help. And if not, we can find somebody to help you out. We have vast resources. And get in contact with Frances too if you're in the Los Angeles area. She's been in that market for a long time, so she's another valuable resource to have. Let's see here. I think we have a couple more. Please let me know.
Sorry, I've just got a text from people and they can't get in, but it is really being recorded, isn't it, Jason?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's going to be on our Facebook as well as on the website. So
Okay.
if they weren't able to watch it this time, the playback will be available there.
Perfect.
I got a couple more questions here. Please let me know if the EU-based company can apply for SBA.
EU, so you're based in Europe, I assume?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. You'd have to be an American business.
Yeah, traditionally that's.
Yeah, that wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
That would not. No, that would not work.
Okay. How do you feel about an all e-commerce platform for starting a label?
Love it. It's great. Great way to go. Absolutely. Do it. And that way, but of course, everything there is all on your social media. How are you going to reach everybody? And things like pop-up stores are really interesting, what's happening now. And maybe you can even do home shows and just building slowly. You can keep your day job and build your business slowly. I think actually doing everything online is the best way to go now. Here we are. This is a new reality, new virtual reality.
Absolutely. All right. Well, a couple more. We have, so we have another name that we want to run it by you really quick. Would the name Homage be a good one?
Sounds good. Yeah, except, do a check, make sure it's not near anyone else's. How are they spelling that?
Omage with an accent mark over the E.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that one's a good one. But just
Yeah.
double check you're not near anyone else's with that. Because the last thing you want to do is start building your brand and you're using this name and suddenly someone goes, hey, I've got that name, been using it for 10 years, cease and desist. You do not want to get involved in any legal aspects. My paying job actually is doing expert witness work. So be very careful with that.
Okay. Let's see, we have a couple more questions. One, how to create a niche for a female apparel brand based on aesthetics.
You're asking me that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you're going to be doing and who you're going to be selling to. Remembering we've got a much more casual lifestyle now. So, designing a red silk dresses for the red carpet is not particularly going to make you any money. So understanding the market niche now is really important.
All right, I got one last question. Where can we register as a design company that's looking for contracted design work for fashion houses?
I'm not sure what that means.
So yeah, I think where can we register for a design company that's looking for? So I guess is the question, Sanja, is that you're looking for The design houses, is that really what you're asking? Contracted design work?
Oh, you mean licensing? So they would be making your products to your label?
Well, it sounds like they're a design company and they're looking for contracted design work.
Oh, I see. They're offering.
Yeah, like where can they register their company to look for contracted design work? Yeah,
Well, on my website, we do have consultants and resources, and I think you do too, don't you, Jason?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So the more you can get yourself out listed, the better it will be for you.
Yeah, I think one of the big barriers that some people forget when they're starting their businesses is that they think they have to do everything themselves. There's a lot of resources and people out there that you can speak to, like Francis, for example, like Anna Livermore, like Top 10 Wholesale and ATS. You know, that's what we do. We point you in the right direction, whether it's specifically for supplying to suppliers or somebody else who can maybe you know, fill whatever gap you're looking for in your business. So if you want, again, contact Francis at fashionforprofit.com, or you can leave us a note on the ATS website, and you know, your inquiry will be answered within 24 hours. So that's a good place to start.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right, I got a couple more. Okay, design company, yes, also licensed. Sounds good. Awesome. Okay, I think that's all we got here for questions. Any last minute ones coming in? Doesn't look like it. Okay, well, Francis, it's so good to see you again.
Oh yeah, thank you.
It's a shame that we can't share a stage this time, but next show it'll be good to be in person again. Yeah.
You're looking forward to
okay.
meeting you guys in Miami, but anyway, we'll.
Likewise. Well, I was just on the phone with somebody right now. Apparently, it's pouring in Miami, so we're not missing out terribly right now.
Oh, really? Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Thank you, everybody. Again, our next seminar is tomorrow.
Jason, someone's raised their hand. I'm not sure. Do you see that? It's two raised their hands, it says.
Okay. So yeah, for this webinar, we're going to have to do stick to the message board.
Okay.
So if anybody has a question, that's where we would do it. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Okay. Looks like I'm getting two different chat boxes here. Can you put those places on the chat source? Can you put those places on the chat to source from or get contracts from? Yeah, so again, just here, I'll go ahead and link Francis's website.
What was the question, sorry?
I think they were just asking places to source or get contracts from.
I see.
Yeah, so have you been on the ATS website? That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Again, all of our speakers and partners are on the ATS website, so that's definitely a good place to start. I'll go ahead and paste a link there really quick on the chats. And again, there's a chat box, so if you just want to go ahead and ask a quick question, that's a good place to start. And again, under our education tab, we have all of our speakers and their contact information and links to the website. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for everything that we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. But if you want to go directly and speak to Francis, Francis is still fashionforprofit.com, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember you had, let me just get this really quick. And this is Francis's website as well. Okay, I'll go ahead and leave that up for a minute or so, and we're going to go ahead and conclude this session. Again, we'll be back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time for the next set of seminars. Tomorrow, our first seminar is on-demand manufacturing in the fashion industry post-COVID-19. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. Have a great day and have a happy Memorial Day.
Thank you, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
See you on Thursday.